Hi, Video Diary. So, sometimes I really hate making these, and today the word hate is on my agenda. Um, because it's one of those most negative types of emotions. I suppose there's a time for it, like to hate ignorance or hate injustice or hate people who speed. But, to the point where they put people's lives at risk. Let's do it that way. Like watching those high-speed chases can be it's so stressful, right? And that's that way for a reason, because you're imagining the implied outcome, which is very bad. And a lot of times when those cops get out of the chase, they're very rough with the person they've been chasing, because they just watched them, maybe almost kill many people. And I got into watching a lot of cop shows, like those reality ones, just to see the moments, where things happen. It's very interesting. But their emotions are like, they're really, really upset. So there's some maybe worthwhile analogy between a person who is known to be actively using and watching one of those chases because of the stress that we imply, the outcome that's implied by it. It's also one of those outcomes that no matter what, it's either you're going to get hurt somebody, or kill somebody, kill yourself, or go to jail. You hear that too with drug use. Like he was either going to be dead or in jail. Yeah, so hate. I just kind of encountered that when I started listening to some videos and stuff about grieving. I've resisted that somewhat, just because I don't want to hear anything about it, but I sort of needed to. This week I kind of needed the insights that some other people could offer. And I had a meeting. I go to these meetings that are very intense, and I just hear similar stories that you encounter, let's say on YouTube, just of how great somebody was doing, and the family has exhausted all of its resources, and they finally feel some hope. And then it happens. Or then they do it. Because it's not something that happens. It's something that users do. They kill themselves. I did read an article that's in the news about parents that lost 2 of their children on the same night who had taken Oxy. And I think it was the first time, according to their friends, that these kids had ever done it. And they both died in different rooms of the house. And that's one, case scenario of kids just thinking they're just going to have the best, you know, flight around the moon. And then it came out also in the news that Prince died of fentanyl, supposedly unknowingly taken in bootleg Vicodin or whatever. But it's very disappointing. It must have been kind of crappy for him to live addicted to opiates for however many years he was doing it. And I know people say that they're in pain, but fuck, you're just going to be dead. I've taken opiates. For the surgeries that I had. Man, just you know what I said? I said I get it. I was 2 occasions where I was doing them, and broke my hand once, and teeth and jaw surgery, and wow. I was like, I can't believe anybody could function, and no one really can. They just, the network of your everybody else functions for you and carries you aloft as you haven't train wrecked yet. I'm sure some people manage it for a while, but like Prince, who did it with money, who had 100 pills next to his bed. Shit. I also know that I do, I want to be honest, that I do use this marijuana oil, and it tastes so nice. Like there's an aesthetic experience and a relaxing feeling. I mean, I'm doing it too much. Let me I have always said, oh, I don't do that much, or I don't want to do it that much. I probably do it too much. And but the aesthetics of it, and even though I get down on alcoholics or alcohol, the destructive, corrosive nature of alcohol, I have a beer thing, and I had an alcohol thing, like a bad alcohol, 2 years. I still can acknowledge, at least with beer, I don't know about like spirits and that kind of thing, but at least with beer, an aesthetic just overload. Like when you're eating and you're drinking a hoppy beer, it's mind-blowing. So there's just something there that, I don't know, I just, taking pills, shooting up. I know it's immediate, like to shoot up, and pills are just like, and not that, I want to weigh these things against each other, but it just seems that like there's no aesthetic. I just don't know. Maybe when you all lay out your spoon and your powder and your candle or whatever the fuck you do, there's just such a religious moment that you go through that I'm completely misunderstanding the entire enterprise for its value. Right, so back to things, the word hate. So it's really negative in our culture, though I was just thinking as I was saying that, like if you're going to have a war, you would need to fire up the hate machine to get the results. So there's a utility to hate, even in that example. Horrible example, but a truthful one. So utility, sometimes I hated myself for being overweight or got myself into the alcohol thing too far. It was just being a fucking irresponsible person. I think that's a nice way to put it. Cleaning up my act was not easy. It happened in stages, and it happened from deep, deep desire to not be one of those guys, one of those people that complained that life didn't give him anything, and I don't know, just I got messed up. My father died when I was young. I got knocked sideways. I was doing drugs, definitely doing psychedelics, and marijuana was like a major thing. I got into martial arts pretty early and accidentally, it seemed, but not. There was a seed there from when I was walking by. When I first got to San Francisco, I was like 18, completely lost, knew nothing about life or anything. My mom was back in New York and dealing with the rest of the kids and the fallout of my dad's horrible death. And I looked in a window and I saw somebody taking it was a karate place, taking their test, and the window was this big, and I stuck my eyes, and I saw the moment that person was giving everything that they had, and the handwork was very karate and cool, and I was, but it wasn't. It was about the thing here, about, and he was being attacked by multiple assailants, and it was that part. I just happened to look in, and I watched this thing until somebody stood in front of the glass from the inside, maybe a minute or two. But I knew I made a decision, and about a year later, I ended up living nearby a place that started me on my journey. So at least I had the wherewithal of being, even as a younger person than my son, to know that I wanted something, for myself, not for my father or for my mother or whatever. I'm sure I put a lot of pressure on Forrest to do the stuff that I thought was cool. He was an amazing athlete and musician, like hearer of music, and seer, like painter. He was more talented than I am. But you know what we used to say, what we finally got to is like, nobody is talented. You earn it, you earn it. A lot of people are not naturally inclined towards a particular thing, and because they want it, that they'll earn it. And wanting it is not enough. If that were true, every kid would have a pony. You really have to make your life surround whatever it is and support whatever it is that you really want to do. It's tough. That's why, like, people say, I wanted to do this thing, and I had to do these 10 other things to get to a place where I could do this first thing. So, what's my point? Hate. So in all the talk of like healing and transformation and what you get out of grief, and there's different videos that you can see how people are presenting their, I don't want to say it's argument, it's really position about what this is. But one person said that there are no labels, but like there are these words like anger, sorrow, hate, love. And I was like, wait a second, back it up. Hate. It's not something people are comfortable with. And I'm not a violent person. I do martial arts maybe because I was, hurt as a kid. Back in here, I'm like, I better just learn how to protect myself. And I've always valued at least having that feeling, because because all my adult life I've kept, actually it's not true. I dropped it for a period of time and I had to come back to it in my 30s, late 20s and 30s. I got lazy, really lazy, excuse-ridden, confused, sad. I was lost. So it's okay, it's like you go away, you come back. But after I came back, I realized that there's no place. You train on your floor. I read these books about prisoners. They train in their cells. It's about self-discipline. Yeah, so hate. It's the most, it's the least thing that I want to admit to. I don't want to say I hate Forrest for what he did. But sometimes I do. And it stands alone. Because between he and I, he would know that what that is something that's hateful to me. And like I said, those kids took that action of taking that one pill on that one night, with the one mistake, with the one etc. It's not the case with most people. And it's not the case with my son. He deliberated and chose to do this after being away from it for many years. And he was trying to find it even before he found this one open door. So I go through this stuff in my mind. I'm never going to know fully. I don't need to know fully all the ins and outs. I know enough. I know what he wrote. He wrote that my dad's not going to bail me out again, and that I want to do this has nothing to do with anybody else. I have to live with that. He has to die with that. So I hate that. I hate drug dealers. Really hate drug dealers, because especially peddling that stuff. That's the stuff. I'm not going to include marijuana for the reason I said, but it's all a slippery kind of world, right? Yeah, I got pot, but I also got heroin. So it's just, they say grow your own. Get off the grid. Don't ever take drugs. Don't buy drugs from anybody. So drug dealers, what are drug dealers? If not people that have decided to make fast money easily. And they'll say, oh, it's not, I've known lots of drug dealers. Oh, it's not easy, or what's this? They equivocate. The only reason they're doing it is because it's much, much harder to take the low road. You know what I mean? Where you gradually earn your way up through a skill set. And a lot of drug dealers are very smart, naturally gifted people in some ways. They are organized. I've known drug dealers. The people that sold bad hard drugs, I would never hang or be around those people more than seconds. But, with the people I know sold pot, that's, a type of person who is looking for I'm not going to say a shortcut, because sometimes it's a shortcut, but sometimes it's a self-industrious way around the system. So, there's elements to it I like, and there's elements to it I hate. But anybody who sells coke, speed, heroin, whatever, you suck. and I hate you. And it's pure hate, because you're just cheating. You're just cheating. Whether you know you're doing it or whether you don't know you're doing it. And that money, it's I've made quick money a few times in my life. It's intense, but it's poison. I make more money now. I make more money now on my virtues rather than on other people's vices. So, I hate you. I'm not going to go any further, to say I hate he died or I hate whatever. This sucks so bad. The whole situation is bullshit. The fact that I'm getting used to it a little bit is it makes me mad. And it seems, I may be wrong, but it seems like there's no way to reach you. There's no way to tell you people who are doing this how bad this is. It's like hell. It's a nightmare. I think that's a better term. Or you don't know where it's going to come from or where it's going to come from. And the people you love the most, the people who love you the most are being injected with your heroin and being killed by it. The death is contagious, and you're responsible for it. You're the only one responsible for it. You're the only one who can not do it. Only you cannot commit suicide. So my advice to grieving people is purge your hate, purge your negative emotions, your anger, your hate. Find good ways to process those things, to purgate them. But it's just it's a foul way to die. My son was better than this. And only I know that. I mean, his friends and family, close family, but in terms of like the stretch of time that will live inside of me. So I'm really pissed off at him. And one last thought, not comfortable, is that the best way to honor somebody, right, is to live well. And I've had the inverse idea of saying, fuck you, to him. I am not going to live well. Thanks. Really terrible, but it's been there, The truth is I am taking the best care that I can of myself. I don't want to equivocate. I am taking good care of myself. So I know that I have that thing of self-preservation. I thought I passed that along to Forrest. And that's my failure. And I'm going to have to always live with that, of having failed as a father. To at least keep my son alive and away from this bullshit. And I know he had equal responsibility in that. I know that. But I'm so alone.